Greetings, everyone. Happy Sunday, and welcome back to the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform for another Sunday afternoon podcast. My name is Therese Millett Joseph, and I am the creator of the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform. If this is your first time here, you've never been here before, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you are a return person, well, welcome to you too as well. I created this platform because I am very passionate about empowering women, and that is what this platform is all about. We are here to motivate, to encourage, and to empower you so that you can live a healthier, a more functional, and an elevated lifestyle. If this is the kind of content that you think you would like, then you need to like, follow, and subscribe to the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platforms on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, because yes, we are everywhere. All right. And I do this podcast every 2 weeks, and we tackle mental health issues, personal development issues, and basically any issue that has to do with women. So be sure to tune in. And this is a good time for you to call up a friend so that somebody else will be watching with you. Okay. Greetings to the queens who are already in the chat section. I see you, Monique. I see you, LT. Thank you very much for being here. LT is already sending greetings to the panelists. She's sending a special hello to her siblings, the Lambie sisters. Look at that. Y'all are famous.
Tiffany.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So, as you can see, wherever you happen to be watching us right now, because we are live on 4 of the Always a Queen platforms at the moment. We're live on the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitter, and the Instagram platforms. Wherever you happen to be watching, please feel free to chat with us, interact with us. We would love to hear from you while we're having this conversation, which is going to be about women's mental health. And it's not coincidental that it is happening in the month of March, which happens to be Women's History Month. All right? Okay, so I'm going to give the queens who are sitting here with me this afternoon an opportunity to introduce themselves, because clearly I am surrounded today. It's not just me. So we're going to give them a chance to greet the people. I believe this is their first time, all 4 of them. This is their first time here on the Always the Queen podcast. So we're so happy for them to be here today. And they are all from Mental Health Advocates Dangriga, which is in Belize. And if you want to know how I got in touch with all these Belizean people, message me after. Okay. All right. There's a story there. Now, I'm gonna start with Paulette. Paulette, please introduce yourself to the people. Tell us a little about you and what you do.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting us and allowing us into your home this Sunday afternoon. I am Paulette Flores. I'm a psychologist, originally from Dangriga. I live in Idaho, and you're like, Idaho? Yes, I live in Idaho, in the potato state. I've been here for a couple of years, practicing psychology, military psychology at one point, and then psychology in community mental health. And now currently I do psychological evaluations and neuropsych evaluations for diagnosing autism, learning disabilities, ADHD, and that kind of thing. And I am so happy to be here with my sisters. Thanks for having us.
And we are happy to have you. All right. And we're going over now to Pamela. Introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pam Lambie. And thank you so much, Therese, for inviting us on this platform. Like I had mentioned before, I looked at your prior podcast, and it's very interesting and very intriguing and very empowering. So thank you for having us on. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I live in Las Vegas, but I was a native Belizean, so I was born in Dangriga when it was Stann Creek. Still have family out there. You saw the post from my sister. But I've worked with, women of all ages, men as well. But I have a special affinity for young women and their mental health. And I'm just really excited about this opportunity to talk about, the things we're going to talk about today, because I feel it's very necessary for us to be able to empower each other and, not feel like we are in constant competition with one another. So I'm glad to be here, and thank you again for the invite.
All right. Okay. Over to Agatha.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone on all of the different social media platforms. Welcome. Thank you so much for having us, Therese. I am so appreciative of this opportunity. As previously noted, I am Agatha Lambe, and I am actually a Garifuna woman born in Dangriga town. I am currently back in Dangriga town after being gone for many, many years, living in the United States. And 2-3 years ago, I came back, started a church. I am a pastor, and it is an honor, it is a privilege to serve my community. And in conjunction to serving spiritually, my background being social work, mental health, I started to just move into providing a community service, a service to the community in terms of providing counseling. So, and that expanded into what is now known as Mental Health Advocates Dangriga. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. And that is what has brought us to this platform today, to share about women's mental health, and just encouraging, as everyone has already said, encouraging women, being a support and not competition or bringing women down, as is the custom of some. We want to be the encouragers, and that's what we are here to do, is to share information. And so I just am so appreciative for this opportunity, Therese. Thank you so much.
All right. And Kristen, talk to
Hello.
the people.
Yes, I'll talk to the people. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with my ladies, my favorites. I am just so excited to be a part of this committee, Mental Health Advocates of Dangriga. I am in Colorado, so I'm out west with Dr. Paulette Flores, and I am moving to Belize on June 1st, so I am completely excited. I'll be live with at least Agatha for our committee. I was just blessed to be brought into this fold. One of my dear friends down the coast in a town called Hopkins in Belize was dealing with a mental health condition and unfortunately passed due to that illness. And I got drawn into this with a particular nurse who's on our committee, and here I am. So.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. And let me say thank you for the work that you are doing. Let me say thank you because a lot of this work is voluntary, right? We all work in mental health, but the work we do outside of work is just as valuable, perhaps even more valuable, I might say, because we are reaching people who may not otherwise be reached, who may not otherwise be able to access the services that we are offering. And also, I believe that it speaks to the passion that you have for what you do and your love for people in general. And so I want to take a moment, just take a moment and say thank you for what you are doing, not just in Belize, but wherever people are being reached, right? You are currently creating a legacy, and we are not going to overlook that. Okay.
Thank you.
And on that note, before we actually get into the discussion on women's mental health, can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you are currently doing as an organization, Mental Health Advocates Dangriga? Like, when did it start? Where can people find you? What communities are you servicing? Give us a general idea of what is happening in your organization and on the ground. I don't know
Okay.
which one of you is going to jump on that.
I will start, and then Dr. Paulette, as she is one of the three of the founding members of Mental Health Advocates Dangriga, and these two additional ladies, as well as some other individuals, are a part of our team now. So we are growing and expanding. But how this all came about was, as I said, as I moved here, I noticed that it was such a need for mental health services that were pretty much lacking in our community. And I'm not saying that to be negative, I'm just merely saying it as a statement of fact. And so, being that, as a matter of fact, before I came here, I actually, along with my sisters and a niece, owned a mental health outpatient treatment facility in Las Vegas. And so, coming from the the ability to provide resources along those lines, it occurred to me, and I will say it's the Lord because it was not me. He put it on my heart to provide this service of mental health services to the community here in Dangriga. And so we reached out to one of the schools here, one of the principals, and she partnered me with Dr. Paulette. We started actually just providing counseling services, mental health services to a school here. And that evolved into providing services for the whole community because people started hearing about what we were doing, saw what we were doing was helpful and beneficial, and different entities, the Ministry of Education, the police department, human development, individuals that just want counseling and need these services started reaching out to us, and here we are. So we said, why don't we bring our resources together? Again, Kristen alluded to our third founding member, Nurse Natisha. We miss her. We wanted her to be here today. It just isn't the same. So Natisha, whenever you listen to this, I just want you to know that you are an amazing integral part of what we are doing, and we just really appreciate you. And so we just got together and we said, let's get a team together. Let's just start to see what the needs are in the community and start filling those gaps. We're not here to reinvent the wheels. We're not here to cause any kind of, friction or issues, because we know mental health is a really touchy subject. There's just so much stigma attached to it. So we didn't want to come in as gangbusters and just try to take over. We just want to see how we can fill in the little gaps. If someone needs just counseling, for instance, we provide that service for free of cost. Along with that, we started having a monthly mental health discussion where we talk about different topics, and we are actually going to be having our next one coming this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Information will be going out on that. And where you can find us is on Facebook right now. We're not as savvy as always, Metamorphosis yet.
Right.
But we thank you for being a part of our team as well. So we are looking to do quite a bit of collaboration where that is concerned. So right now we're just on on Facebook. You can find us at Mental Health Advocates Dangriga. We barely even use it, but you can reach out to me, Agatha Lambie. You can find me on Facebook. And so I am just, as I said, it is an honor just to serve and just to be here to assist in any way possible, especially when it comes to mental health. It's just the stigma attached to it is so great that that's one of the things we want to do as well, is to make this a conversation that we can have just on an ongoing basis, and not something that is hidden. So our mantra, and I will end at that, our mantra is to end the silence and begin the healing. And that's what we're here to do. So thank you.
All right. I love that. I love that.
Do you want me to
Does
add a few
anyone
other
else want to
things?
jump in and add anything, or did we pretty much cover it?
I was just going to add a few other things, or just highlight what Agatha said, because Agatha did an excellent job of summarizing exactly what we do. So increased awareness of mental health in our community is one of the main things that we do. Just making people aware of what different mental health diagnosis looks like, how it can be taken care of, and having those monthly sessions increases the awareness. So increased awareness is a big thing for us. Another thing we do as well is making community members aware of where resources can be found and creating that link. So what I mean, like, let's say if somebody has a mental break, who do you call? Where can you take that person? What are some things that that you can find at those different areas that are resource areas in our community? We help to create that link, close the loops. If you don't know where, we help to try and provide that kind of communication. And one of the things Agatha frequently talks about is you could just call this number. And by calling her, she helps to close some of the links. Another thing that we are doing and we continue doing is trying to increase membership, pulling people from the community who are who have an interest in mental health. And it doesn't always have to be that you're a professional or you work in that area. It could be you've always been interested in mental health, or maybe you have a family member who is having mental health difficulties, right? So the door is open to allow community members to come in and be a part of creating that mental health awareness in our Dangriga community. Right now, it's just in Dangriga, but I like the idea that we're all over the world. Belize and US is the world, but but
well, right now in this moment, we are literally all over the world.
All over the world, right? The good thing though is that because we're in different areas, our input has a different flavor to it. So it might be even though it's a Dangriga thing, it is what's happening in Las Vegas and what Pam is seeing, or what's happening in Colorado, what Kristen is seeing, and all of those things help to make the organization a fuller group, so that we could provide mental health that's more rounded rather than just very very narrow or very not inclusive as we could make it.
All right. Thank you so very much. Thank you. And I have been highlighting a couple of comments as you have been speaking. I'm going to bring one back up because this one is coming. This young lady, Serene Prince. Yes, Serene, I'm calling you a young lady. Is a colleague of mine here in New York, who's also a psychotherapist. And she has Antiguan roots, like I do, though we are both living here in New York. And she is encouraging you all as clinicians to join the Caribbean Therapist Network on Facebook. And I am also encouraging you to do that. It's an excellent way for you to network and meet other clinicians who are engaged in work in that part of the world. And also you might be able to, come across resource persons who might be able to contribute in some way to the work that you are doing in your little part of the world, right? Because that's what we're all doing. It reminds me of this song that I used to sing when I was a little girl in church. Brighten the corner where you are. because you can't brighten every single corner of the world. But if you are in the business of brightening the corner where you are, and everyone is doing that, guess what happens? Right? And that's how we get it done. So, Serene.
And I like that because
yes,
I like that because the people I touch will be different than the people Dr. P touch, or the people that you touch, because of our sphere of influence is the people that are around us. So I think that was good.
Yes, excellent.
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's go to the protein part of this meal, the meat, right? We are here to talk about women and their mental health. And I want to kick the conversation off by talking about the fact that sisterhood is an excellent place for women to foster their mental health. And I think it's no coincidence that everybody sitting here on this panel today is a woman. And I think we are all very well aware that most of the mental health professionals around the globe today are people who identify as women. I think there is no coincidence in that. We are very naturally nurturers, caretakers, and caregivers. What I'm wanting for us to talk a little bit about, though, is how that transfers into our relationships with each other as women, and the spaces that we create together as women in order for us to enjoy optimal mental health. How does sisterhood contribute to that? I don't know who wants to kick the ball off first. Maybe we should, I should pick somebody. All right, Pam. Pam is ready to jump right in. Go ahead.
Yes, because actually I looked up, sisterhood and, its benefits. And I really like this explanation of what genuine sisterhood looks like. And it said it provides a safe space for your truest self to emerge. It is a place where your tears are caught, not judged, where you are held, not ridiculed, and where it's okay to be not okay. It's where you are caught, held, and nurtured, and where you get to do the same for another woman. So I love that about sisterhood, because I think it's sisterhood is being attacked because of society saying that we cannot get along. That if one person is doing well, it impacts our ability to do well, as if we can't all be functioning optimally at the same time. So I think genuine sisterhood actually increases our mental health and provides an arena for us to, have a safe space, a place to softly land. And I just really like the idea of sisterhood in its truest form.
Can I just jump in as well? I like where Pam started with the definition, because for me that was where I went as well. Let me look up the definition of sisterhood, and I feel like that captures. Going from there, it's almost like you get this idea of coming together, get that idea of working as a team, getting that idea of common goals, getting the idea of that bond, just some really solid kinds of terms, and the whole idea of bringing people together to work towards something. So I just love the idea of sisterhood and that team effort.
And just to continue along those same lines, and Kristen, you will add to this. messing with Kristen. She's a
Kristen is
little.
not going to escape, is she?
No, she's not going to get away with that.
She won't let me. No.
All right. So I think like Pam and Dr. P said, I did not even go into research. I knew these ladies were going to do that, so I kind of took it as let it be just that organic and just coming from the heart. And of course, we have experience in this area because this is what we do. And I do agree with everything that's been said so far about sisterhood. And I think that with women, it is so necessary for our mental well-being and wellness. However, sometimes women themselves make that so difficult to participate in. And so when Pam and Dr. P said about the genuineness of it, that is where it really becomes where it's necessary for us to be genuine, because there are times when women get together to gossip, to bash the male species, to do everything and anything but to support one another. So we definitely need to make it clear that it is about us, and it is about us becoming better women, whatever it is that we are doing as mothers, wives, in our working professions. We can become only that much more better when we as sisters see each other as not competitors, but see each other as those that we can partner with and collaborate with, encourage, inspire. And when we do that, when we come with that mindset, when we come with that attitude, when we come with what can I do, not necessarily just what can I get from this, but what can I bring to it, we are so much more better as a result, and we are then able to be the best of who we can possibly be as women. And then women, the tribe of women, the word woman becomes that much more powerful, because we are God created man, and then he wanted to perfect on that, and he created woman, because it was woman, right? We bring the wow factor into every situation. And so that's who we are. We are just fierce just by ourselves, but together we are a force. And so I love it. I love the idea of sisterhood. I have sisters as my natural sisters, biological sisters. We are all sisters, and so we have that natural bond of sisterhood. But when we encompass what all of that means with other females, other women, it just helps us to become better. So I love the concept of sisterhood.
Yes. I have a bag of things I want to say, but I'm going to let Kristen go first.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what's in your bag. So I'm actually super excited to share this, a concrete example of sisterhood in my life, because the woman is on today, and she's here in Colorado. We're not in the same area, but just amazing sister to me, not biological, but she is my sister. During times of, pretty horrible mental health devastation, she has just been there for me. And I wouldn't honestly be sitting here doing this if it weren't for her and other women like her that have just lifted me up and supported me. I can give you a really great example of one evening she had me come over and I wasn't doing well. And before you know it, Danny is her name. She's on. She's birthday sisters with Agatha, August 15th. Can't wait till they meet. But I'm sitting there and I'm shell shocked, and I have a bowl of warm food in front of me and a shoulder heating pad over my shoulders and a blanket on my lap. And I never have felt, I don't think, so safe in my life. And this beautiful woman I've known for, gosh, I don't know, over 20 years now, has brought that peace to me, where I just gather so much strength, and I'm like, yeah, I get up off the couch and I go back out to the world and do it again. But without that special female relationship with her and other ones that I have, I just would not be the woman that I am today to be able to do this work that I do. So sisterhood, yep, it's great.
All right. I love that for you, Kristen. So one of the things that went through my mind as I was listening to you guys sharing is one, the idea of the fact that, I think Agatha said it best, that women bring the wow factor. I believe those were the exact words that she used. Women bring the wow factor. And that made me think of the fact that, which by the way, I 100% agree with. Like, we do bring the wow. Women are innately, organically very powerful beings, just very naturally. And so I feel like it's important for me to make the point, to preface what I'm going to say with the fact that we are born innately powerful. It's like trees were created to bear fruit and flowers. Women were as well. We are literally the vessels through which life comes, literally. And perhaps also figuratively.
Right.
Because we don't just bring the life, we also keep people alive in more ways than one. And, Kristen just gave an example. This is just it is who we are. We don't really have to try to be it. We are naturally it. I believe what happens is that when the world gets its hands on us, sometimes some of that very natural, organic, feminine energy gets drained out of us as a result of trauma, pain, difficult experiences, dysfunctional families and dysfunctional relationships, etc., etc., etc. Which is why platforms and spaces like this one and conversations like this one are so important. Because it is not so much about empowering women, but more about reminding women of who they already are. So perhaps a more accurate thing to say would be, we are here to remind you that you came earthside with the power in you. I like to tell women whenever I speak to a group of women that every woman is a queen. Every woman may not act like a queen, but this does not mean that every woman is not a queen. Some women need a gentle reminder of who they are so that they can come back into that place in which you were very naturally created. And I believe, and that brings me to the point that I want to make, I believe that the people who are best suited to do that work for other women are women. Where are you going to find a man teaching another woman how to find her femininity after trauma has stolen it from her? That is not a thing. That's not a thing. Only another woman could do this, right? And I think that is probably one of the most important roles that sisterhood plays in our lives. I really love the fact that Pam spoke to safety. She spoke to safety. That's another key thing that sisterhood brings into our lives. And this is not to say that you cannot feel safe with a man. I'm not saying that. I don't want any of the men who are listening to us to think I am male bashing. We love you. We love you. I just wanted to stick that in. But the safety that Pam was talking about is not the same safety that you feel with a male partner. It's a different type of safety. It is a safety that you will only have when you are surrounded by feminine energy.
Right.
Because it is a safety that is born out of the fact that these people who are around me know exactly how I feel. It's the same type of safety that is created, for example, in group therapy settings. When people go to group therapy, or like let's suppose I start a grief therapy group. Everyone is in that group because everyone in that group knows how everybody else in that group feels. That is what creates the safety. Nobody in that group is going to be like, I don't want to talk because nobody's going to understand where I'm coming from. That's not going to be a thing because everybody there is there for the same reason. That is the safety that Pam was talking about. Only other women can provide that for other women because only other women can say, girl, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because that happened to me too, right? That is the safety that sisterhood provides. That's another reason why it's so important. So very important. And the final thing I'm going to touch on is the competition that Pam mentioned. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about the competition. Because here is what I am thinking. I am thinking that women have historically, and when I say historically, I mean going back through the centuries and through the ages, women have historically been culturally and socially programmed to compete against each other. And do you know where that programming came from?
Men.
Patriarchy. The men. It's the men. Why would the men do this to us? The men are the ones who have programmed us to compete against each other. Why? Because historically, what was offered to us as women was so meager. So meager. There were so few spaces that we were allowed into. There were so few tables that we were allowed to sit at. There were so few opportunities made available to us. We couldn't vote. We couldn't open a bank account. We couldn't work. We couldn't hold public office. I mean, I could keep going and going and going and going, right?
Right.
There were just, what was offered to us was just so meager that it created an atmosphere of competition. Because if there are 100 of us and only 2 seats at the table, well, what are we going to do but fight for the 2 seats? Right? Like the system literally created a situation in which we would have no choice but to compete in order to survive. And I want the women who are listening to us to understand that the world has changed. This is 2024. There's a seat for everybody at the table now. There is room for every woman to win. Nobody needs to compete anymore. Everybody has space. You just need to take up yours. Find your space and take a space. And take it up fearlessly. I think women are still very afraid to take up space. In 2024, women are still afraid to take up space in this world. I am unapologetic about the fact that I am here to do nothing but take up space. I'm very sorry.
That's great.
I am just, that is, I am about my Father's business.
Yes.
And that requires me to take up space.
Yes.
Take up space on the internet, take up space in the department where I work, take up space in my cultural and social platforms, take up space. Wherever I am, I will announce myself loudly, loudly, because
I love that.
what is this thing about being afraid to take up space? Anyway,
Right.
let me stop now. Let me stop. I'm going to mute my mic. And you can tell me what you have to say about this. Obviously, I'm
Wow.
getting very passionate. I'm getting carried away. I'll
We
mute
love
my mic.
it. We love that, Therese. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you just, I mean, you really said it all. And then finding our voice, you know, because sometimes we are in the space, but we don't announce ourselves, as you say. We kind of still are in the background, and so it's going to take a concerted effort on, I would even say, the older ones of us that have kind of gone through some of these things where we were kind of like shut down or made to feel less than, and not valued for who we truly are. For us to take on the reins. And that's where mentoring is such an integral part of sisterhood, because there you find in those sister circles some of us that are a little bit older and hopefully a little bit wiser, who can now bring our younger sisters to a higher place of even realizing who they are. Because as you said, you know, we have been made by the patriarchal society that we live in to feel as if though we cannot do what another man do. But not only can we do what you do, we can probably do it better than you. But however, we are not going to go there, because that's not what we're here to do, right? We are here to uplift each other. And so as we come together, as we have these conversations, and as some of us take it upon ourselves, because there may be some spaces that we're not invited to, but what we do is we create our own space. We create our own table, and we invite others to that table, because our sole objective and concern is to uplift our sisters and to encourage one another and fix each other's crown, because we are queens. I mean, just by definition, that's who we are. And we don't have to try to be anything else besides that. And just do whatever it is that we need to do, especially in counseling and in some of these in therapy, to find out what went wrong in my background, in my life, where I do not know who I am, what my identity is. And when I heal, I am just going to be so much more better. So for those who have gone through trauma, those who have been rejected, abandoned, whatever the case might be, look for the resources. You may not go to a formal therapy service, but I encourage you, there's nothing wrong with counseling. Do not let anybody tell you that counseling is not for Black people. Counseling is for everybody. It is. It's for everybody. I'm not Kristen. You know what I mean. Kristen is a homegirl. So she knows exactly what I'm talking about. I think she's about 60-70% Black herself. She just looks like.
Not the first time I heard
It's just
that.
an exterior thing, right? It's just an exterior thing.
That's all.
So what I am saying, and again,
So
the color of our skins play no place in sisterhood, not at all. It's just wanting to get together because of the fact that we are women. Nothing having to do with anything else other than that. That's simply that we are women, and our job, because nobody else is going to do it, our job is to encourage one another, is to uplift one another. And so that's what I wanted to say about that.
And I would like to add to that, programs like these remind us of what being a woman, what sisterhood can look like, how you could be a better version of yourself. Because you know what? The truth is that we go out on a daily basis, and sometimes life is hard, it's traumatic, conflict with others. And sometimes it makes us feel small. And so having a program, for example, like this Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, it's almost like you're preparing yourself for the week, right? So I already know, I'm ready for this week. I'm ready for what the week has to offer me. But we need those reminders, because life has a way sometimes of throwing it at us, and we forget our crown. We forget that we're royalty. We forget what we bring to the table.
And I like when you said taking up space, because when I think of that, I think of stewardship and what we've been given, and our purpose. And I think when we take up space, we're telling God that we are using everything that you gave us to use. And on top of that, I feel like we have to compete for like one pie, but God has given us all a pie. And it's really up to us to decide how much are we going to, use it at 100% or 70%. And whatever I choose to do with mine is not impacted by what you do with yours. We can both operate at 100%. So I like the idea of taking up space, because that's what I think we were here to do.
I love it. I tell women all the time, another woman can never steal your crown. Your crown has your name on it. Nobody else can wear it. Everybody has one. Nobody can steal yours. It's not possible. It is not possible. If somebody has convinced you that somebody is stealing what God gave you, that person is trying to set you up. That is a setup, because nobody can take what God has given you specifically. That is just not a thing. There's just to piggyback on what Pam was saying, and the whole idea of helping other women fix their crown. You know what is another thing that creates that safety in sisterhood that we've been talking about, is that we need to be able to help another sister straighten her crown without telling everybody that it was crooked.
Right.
Oh, that's nice.
Good. That's
cool. Yeah.
Safety, like sisterhood. I don't think sisterhood functions without safety. Let me just put it that way. I don't see how.
Right.
Safety is the number one requirement. Safety is the number one requirement. And in order for there to be safety, we must eliminate this idea of competition. There is no competition. My light is not dimmed because somebody else's light is shining brightly. That is also not a thing. Shine theory suggests, I don't know if you ever heard of shine theory. If anybody's listening, you can look it up. But it actually suggests that my light is brightened by helping somebody else's light to shine bright. Because their light shining brightly is not oh my goodness, they're going to take the oil out of my lamp. No, it's more of a iron sharpens iron kind of situation. So the brighter she shines, and the more I rub shoulders with her, the brighter I will shine too, because whatever she has is going to rub off on me, and so on and so forth. That's the shine theory. And I feel like it's so important for us to advance that school of thought instead of the school of thought that is out there, that my light is dimmed by lighting somebody else's. That is literally not a thing, because none of us came here with the same to do the same work. We all have purpose on our lives, but we do not have the same purpose. You just need to do what God put you here to do, and let other people do what God put them here to do. And if you can, support other people while they're doing what God put them here to do. That's it. That is it. There's absolutely no need to compete. None at all. And if we can knock that off the table completely, this is when you're going to see sisterhood thriving like it never has in the history of this world.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
All right. Creating spaces. Creating spaces for this to happen. So we've talked about what the sisterhood needs to look like. Where is this sisterhood happening? Where are the spaces where this sisterhood is thriving? Do we have such spaces?
I think we do.
Or is this just an idea?
I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So as I mentioned before, I'm a pastor, and as a matter of fact, I would say 98% of the those that participate in our services and other activities are women. And I don't know when it happened this way, where the men kind of disappeared from church, ministry, things of that nature. I'm not saying there aren't any, but the reality is that you find more women participating in some form of spirituality, religion, whatever we want to call it, but that the religious space, for whatever reason. And that's something that we may have to have a conversation about at another time. I always ask the question, Adam, where are you? And so we have to kind of find Adam, because we need Adam. But in the meantime, women are taking up that space, taking up the call of spirituality, building our families, really, actually, because as strong as we can be is how strong our family and our other relationships are going to be. And so in that environment, we can, as women, get together. You mentioned something about being, I guess if we would call it support or empowerment groups, where everyone in that particular group may have had a similar or same experience, and on that we can build sisterhood and build heal and get healed as a result. But then there are also women's group within ministries as well, ministries that cater to and encourage women to come together, to encourage one another, to build and uplift one another. And that can then help us in the broader sense of sisterhood to be able to go into our different communities, our different environments, and just take that we are learning, that we are doing, how we are growing together, to help others that may not be in that environment or come to church for that matter, or are a part of a church or a ministry. And so I find that is one of the safer spaces that we can create for others, is within that spiritual bond that we have, that relationship that we have, serving one God, and just being those that are just wanting to learn and grow, and how to be a better version of ourselves. And so I find that may be one of the safe spaces that we can create for each other. And I do have that within our ministry as well. So that's one of the spaces that I have, I believe we've created, so that sisterhood can flourish.
And you know what, too? I would add to that, each one of us who is listening today can create a certain, we could start that bond with somebody else. Let's say you haven't done it as yet, or you're not in an area or a space where you feel like you can be a sister to somebody. If you haven't done it, today could be the day where you could say, you know what, I'm going to start after I get off of this call, or after I get off the session, or when I go to work tomorrow. Because if we're going on the premise that each one of us has a light to shine, then I can go ahead and make sure that if I haven't been doing it, I could start tomorrow. So that sisterhood is something that we could start today. Another thing that comes to my mind as well is, I know like in Dangriga, when I was growing up, there was this social department had a thing where they usually had women come together and they would teach them how to crochet and sew, and just teaching girls and women how to do things. So I know that it's something that has been happening in Dangriga for a while, and I'm like all the way in my 50s, so I know that this has been happening for a while. And of course, more spaces are needed, but there are some spaces I know that have been there for a while as well.
And I think that we have the opportunity every day to be able to create those spaces, because we're in, relationship with other women. We're in conversations with other women, but just being in conversation and being around other women doesn't make it so. Like, it doesn't make sisterhood just happen. We have to willingly create that space, because we could use that space to do, trivial stuff that don't mean anything. We could use that space to gossip or to, to talk about things of little importance. So we have to be willing to create the space that we want to see, and do it intentionally, because it's not just going to happen by happenstance. It's something that we have to be intentional about creating.
I'd like to kind of go back to what you mentioned about announcing yourself. I love that. But just to tie that in with this, what we're talking about with sisterhood and creating a space, my future, I'm looking down, and as far as like being in Belize, and just, if I were here, I could be doing it differently. But there's just so many wonderful children everywhere. And of course, I have some really close relationships, very fortunate with a couple little female friends. And just to be able to announce them, if they're not necessarily used to that. Another woman really, I can't say about these two because their mothers are amazing. But just kind of get behind them a little bit and, hey, what are your interests? What do you guys want to do? And just kind of literally announcing them. Oh my gosh, Gracie wants to be an attorney. She wants to be the first female prime minister of Belize. I don't know. Let's announce that. Let's start talking about, you know what I mean? I get so excited when I see these little ones, and they're so bright-eyed and intelligent, and just kind of, announcing them. So I think that would be a good space for children to have older women like us. Dr.
I
P,
think
right?
that's beautiful.
Yeah, good kids.
That is beautiful because because that is a lot of times how as we get older, that's how we lose ourselves and lose our voices, because we are ignored. We're not encouraged. We're not announced. We're not made to feel as if though what we want and who we are matters. So I think that is absolutely beautiful if we can take these young girls. And again, that's not something that we see a whole lot of. But what I find now as well too, and is that the parents who are pretty young sometimes themselves may not have within them at this time, so they can also use some of these platforms and environments to be uplifted and encouraged as well, so that they can have more to give to their children that are coming up, because we don't want to perpetuate that mindset or attitude that girls or young ladies and young adult females are just good for one thing. We want them to know that they can do anything and be anything that they want to in this world, in this society. So, gosh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Kristen.
Yeah, that is powerful. Can I get
They
on my
inspire me.
soapbox?
When you come visit us, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're hysterical. The kids in Belize are just you'll see.
That is
They're great.
really powerful. Really powerful. I don't even think Krista realizes how powerful what she just said is, because where where do women learn that they should be quiet, that they should be seen and not heard, that they should stand in the back, that they should not talk or laugh too loudly, that they cannot hold certain positions, that they cannot sit in certain seats in office, that they cannot be the ones to break the glass ceiling, to be the first this or the first that. Where do we learn these things? From the woman who raised us. These are schools of thought that are transgenerational. They don't just come from anywhere. We learn these from the women who raise us, because we often turn into the women who raised us by default, unless we are intentional about doing something different. If you are not intentional, you have no conscious awareness of yourself and how you are showing up in the world, you're not engaged in any active work on yourself, you're just living, you're just taking up space and living, you will, by default, become the people who raised you. That's just how it works. That's just what happens. We imprint off of the people who raised us, unless we are intentional about doing otherwise. And if you are raised by people who have certain beliefs and schools of thought that they hold to be true, they will pass them on to you. And as a child, you are not going to contradict your parents, especially not your mother. And so the women that we become often is a direct reflection of the women who raised us, which brings me to the point that if we want little girls, let me tell you, I'm going to raise my daughter to believe that she can breathe fire. And when she leaves home and anybody tells her, girl, your mother is crazy, humans can't breathe fire, when she gets home, I'm going to tell her, let me tell you, you're going to be the first human that does. Go back and tell your friend.
Yes.
Because everybody has to be, everything that has ever happened in this world, somebody had to be the first to do it. Before Kamala Harris, there was never a female vice president. Everything that has ever happened, somebody had to be the first. So why can't my daughter be the first to be whatever it is that she decides she wants to be? I am going to raise her to believe that she's fierce and unstoppable. And this is what has to happen with our little girls. We have to raise them to believe that they can, that they have the right, that they were born to take up space in the world. You can be anything, literally anything you want to be. There is no longer only men do that. That is just no longer a thing. You want to be an astronaut? Be an astronaut. You want to be a construction worker? Also be a construction worker. Be whatever you want to be.
Yes.
Literally, because you can. Nobody can stop you. You can. Which brings me to another point. Last thing I'm going to say. I really have to control myself on this mic this afternoon. Last thing I'm going to say, and that is that healing in the same way that dysfunctional beliefs and behaviors are transgenerational, healing is also transgenerational. Women need to know this. When I decide that I am going to be a cycle breaker, And I refuse to turn into my mother. When I make that decision, I am not just healing myself.
Right.
I am healing every generation of women that will come from me. I'm healing my daughter, healing my granddaughter, my great granddaughter, every generation of women that comes from me is going to show up different because I chose to do the work. And when you look at it from that perspective, you realize that the work that we do as clinicians, this is literally sacred work. This is literally sacred work. Because you are never just healing yourself. Never. That is also not a thing. Nobody who wakes up and decides that they're going to be a cycle breaker and start healing is doing that work for themselves. You're doing it for generations down the line who will no longer do whatever was done before you. That's powerful.
It is.
I don't know why people need to take their mental health seriously. You see, I'm turning off my mic again. I'm turning off my mic again.
But you know what, Therese? I did a book club with young women. We did a book called Successful Women Think Differently. And that was exactly my mindset. That the things that they learned throughout that process was something that would be life-changing, not just for them, but the kids they create, because now their mindset is different. So what they teach them, what they model for them, what they show them is different than would have otherwise been had they not been in that space where they were learning things for themselves, where they were learning to self-improve. So it isn't just for you, it's for actually anyone you're going to kind of come in contact with, but definitely the people that you have influence over.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is wonderful. I love everything that you just said, Therese. When I think about myself, and then praise God, and I'm so grateful that my mom is still here. And then of course I have a daughter. She has a son, but at any given time, there are probably about 3 or 4 generations of us that are here in this space at one time. And so, yes, we can encourage and upbuild those that are coming after us. But what I love, and I think sisterhood is so powerful for, is when you can help upwards, an older person than yourself being in that circle. I have people in the ministry, that my mom included, that comes to the services and listen to me, her daughter, to and grow and learn as a result of the words that are being shared on that platform. But just even in, again, like we said, just being around different women and in different environment, different spheres, we have that opportunity to also change the heart and the mind of a person that thought that they could not, because they were told that they couldn't. They believed that they couldn't. And because they believed that, that was then passed on to others after them. But when you can go back and be that person, that change maker, that can go and tell an older person in terms of age that you can still change. The saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, that is not true. That is absolutely not true. That dog needs to want to change, yes, but to be a part of that change and that transformation, it is just so amazing. That just does something to for me to know that I can influence someone and that person listens, that is older than myself, and of course I can glean from them as well, because what matters regardless of age is that we are women. We are just simply that, women. And our experiences is what bonds us, is what ties us together. And what binds us together is that as women, the reason why that woman was probably the way they were, my mother, your mother, aunts and so forth, grandparents were that way, was because of the system, because of the environment that they were brought into. And yes, you're right, it is passed down generationally. But if we can change a generation even before ourselves, that is it through sisterhood. That is just amazing. I'm just done. That's just amazing to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to jump in on that? No? All right, I'm going to shift us into what is going to be, I'm going to say the home stretch of this conversation. Since we're talking about healing, let's stay there. I feel a part 2 of this conversation coming on. I don't know if anybody else can feel it, but I feel a part 2 coming on. Or anyway, since we're talking about healing, let's talk a little bit about women taking care of themselves, specifically their mental health. Since we're on the topic of healing, and we can let that be the home stretch of our conversation. Because women are going through it. Listen, women are going through it out here. Most of my caseload, 75% of my caseload is always women as a therapist. Mm-hmm. And it's not because the men don't go to therapy. It's because the women are going through it. Listen, it's not easy out here in these streets. These women are out here doing the most. Many of them raising children on their own, trying to make a dollar out of 50 cents. You know what I mean? The stress is taking a toll. A lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of despair, discouragement, hopelessness. You know, women are going through it. Women are going through it. What can we tell them? How can we leave them with something, like some practical things that they can begin to do even from starting today to help improve the quality of their lives a little bit, outside of going to therapy. Right. We want them to go to therapy, but outside of therapy.
I think outside of therapy is just an understanding of what self-care is. It's not selfish. It's not, something trivial. It's actually something that is necessary for all of us because we pour out so much. We need to be able to find a way to fill our own cup. And so just having an understanding that, self-care is necessary for every single one of us. It's not a sign of weakness. There's not really a need to feel guilty about us wanting to take care of ourselves. Because when we're our best selves, it's better for the people around us. So as a therapist, and if I have anyone on here that comes on our 4th Wednesday program, they will have heard me say this already. But one of the things that I encourage clients to do is find your happiness triggers. So, Dr. Paulette and Therese, I'm sure you know how we always talk about, depression triggers and anxiety triggers. What are the things that triggers these emotions? So I talk to clients about developing happiness triggers. So the things that trigger your sense of happiness, that trigger your sense of well-being and joy. And so I ask clients to, write a list and keep adding to that list as you go through your day and your week and your month, and try to do something on that list every day, because you can literally trick your mind into thinking that you're okay because you're developing these, the dopamine and the serotonin because you're doing things that make you happy. So those triggers, of course, have to be healthy. You don't want to put, smoking marijuana on your happiness trigger. It might be, but it ain't healthy. Like I have a list literally of like 80 something things, and it can be something small. It doesn't have to cost. I enjoy like looking at stuff when my kids were little. So I like looking at, their baby books and looking at pictures of them. And I'm a new edition fanatic, so super fan right here. So anything new edition, I enjoy. So I think I love rain, I love Christmas, everything about Christmas. So if you come up with a list
Does
of
food
things
count? Does food count?
Yes. Well, as long as you're not overindulging, and then it creates an eating disorder, and it'll fix your health. But people love food, and I like to take a nap. Oh my goodness, when I can close my eyes and take a nap, I'm just in seventh heaven. So being able to find those things, and then, like I said, continually add to that list. And the other thing is, because sometimes when you're going through, it's hard to think of things. So devise that list when you're in a good mental space. Come up with the things and then put those things into practice and do it something on that list every day. I have a lot of other stuff, but that's my main thing, and I've seen it, be very successful with clients.
I would also add coming up with a gratitude journal. It doesn't have to be like a physical journal, but at the ending of each day or at the beginning of each day, just finding things that you can be grateful for. It doesn't have to be anything big or great. Just the fact that you woke up this morning, or that you're able to smile, or that it's not snowing. But finding
unless you love school.
Finding stuff that you could be grateful for. Another thing too can be, and that's something that you could start this evening, right? Another thing is planting the seed of positivity. Trying to look at stuff from a positive point of view. Again, something that's very mental. You don't need any money, anything for it. You could start. How can I see something positive in what's around me? Because when I plant positive seeds, they grow up into positive trees, right? So those are things that I like. I like the identifying what the person is already doing, and then kind of stretching it to where it works out to be something that's positive for them.
Can somebody comment on what Indira says? Hi, Indira. I don't know. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on this. Indira is making a point here.
She is, and I think she's absolutely right. So I have on, I'm sorry, Agatha, just really quickly. I have on my list rest. Self-care is about, being able to get rest. That's mental rest, physical rest, spiritual rest, creative rest. I'm in another book club, and the book we're reading is Sacred Rest. But just the importance of knowing that you do not have to do everything, and that if you take a rest, it doesn't mean that you are weak, and it doesn't mean that you are not doing what you're supposed to do. You need to be able to rest so that you can do everything that is on your table, on your plate, to be able to do. So we feel like, I don't know if we're going to get to the strong Black woman stereotype thing, but we feel like we have to be it all and do it all.
Listen, girl, not today.
I didn't think so.
That's the part two. We're going to come back.
Yes, because that's...
Am I allowed to be on that one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
But I think we feel like we have to do everything, and so we do burn ourselves out. We keep pouring out, and we're not, taking anything in. And I think that rest allows you to be able to just, calm your mind, calm your body, calm your spirit. And so, we otherwise we are prone to burnout, and then, emotional burnout, physical burnout, and then we just can't give all we can give or be all that we can be.
And so all of those are very good ideas for self-care and taking care of ourselves. And I am in total agreement with what Pam said. And in response to Indira, you are absolutely right. The people that we are pouring into, giving of ourselves, it's that's like throwing putting water into a bucket with holes, because the people that we continue to pour into, not that we're not supposed to, it will never be enough. So you have to pump the brakes, pause, and make a decision that I'm going to take care of me. because nobody is going to take care of you like you can take care of you. And so, when we think about self-care, we think about, the big things that, go on that big vacation and do that thing that costs a whole lot of money that we don't have, that is stressing us out in the first
Get
place.
it.
But
Right.
can we just like narrow that down and just think of something that you can do for yourself every day? I like coffee, and I like this coffee called Belize Best Coffee. I drink no other. That's my loyalty to Belize Best Coffee. I love it. And just drinking a cup of coffee, sitting in my little chair, spending time with my God, with God. He's not, yes, he's mine, but he's all of ours. But just spending time in that quiet space, in that safe space, that is just tremendous. Just find something that you can do that does not cost a lot of money, that you can do for yourself on a daily basis. So we don't have to wait for 6 months to have enough money to go somewhere. Every day, or I would say every day. And for someone that is here, that is on the chat and is listening to us today, you need this. You need this for your mental well-being. If you don't do it and do it now, you are not going to be here, because stress kills. Not taking care of ourselves, it kills us. Our not taking care of our mental well-being can definitely cause us to be less than we can possibly be. And so I encourage somebody to find something that you like to do. What did you do before you had kids? What did you do before you had a man? You did something. You took care of you, right? And so, yes, maybe at that time, because we didn't have others, we could pour into ourselves, but do not let that change. It is not selfish. It's not being self-centered. It's self-preservation. If you
I just wanted oh, sorry. Go ahead, Agatha.
I am done. Thank you.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to highlight this comment from Elsie, who I believe you know very well.
That's our cousin.
Yeah. Elsie is saying this right here is a true example of sisterhood. Women from all different cultural backgrounds coming together to bring awareness to our mental well-being, breaking generational trauma, and a new term I learned today, transgenerational healing.
Nice.
Way to go,
Nice.
Queen. Sisterhood.
Nice.
Thank you so much for being here today, Elsie. We appreciate you. Thank you for the hookup, girl. Thank you.
Yes, girl. Thank you. You did good.
I want to piggyback on something Agatha said real quick, if that's all right, about the bucket and the water and the holes and whatnot. And literally, without saying the word, she was saying boundaries. And boundaries have kept me so sane. Just setting those up with people that might be trying to take a little bit more than I can really give. But I was having a conversation with a woman the other day about this. And this example that I love, that I've heard, that I like to pass on, is when you're flying and the flight attendants, right in the beginning, and they're giving us our little warnings and this and that. And then of course they speak about cabin pressure, and if things change, and then this oxygen's going to drop out. Right. And then I think, and I have never been blessed to be a mother, but I think I have some motherly stuff in me for sure. But my instinct, and others, what I think would be to, oh my gosh, I've got my 2-year-old. I got to stick this oxygen on my 2-year-old. But then you're out of, you're going to be out. So the lesson is, ladies and gentlemen, put that oxygen on yourself, and then get your mask and put it on your child, or the child next to you, whoever that may be. But if we're not doing that, if the kid, I don't want to talk like this because I'm not, if the kid's crying, and we're not, stepping behind and saying, hey, sweetie, let's, have some juice right now, and mommy's going to go behind the door and do her gratitude journal. Just taking that little space out before, to be able to give back to a child, an adult, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, whoever, just to take that step back, and then you continue to give to others before you burn yourself out. Like I think Indira said.
Yeah.
So.
Can I just add 2 more things really quickly? Do I have time?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We've been able to laugh a little bit here, and I think that it's so important to be able to have humor in your life, to be able to laugh, to purposefully find things that make you laugh, because I think that's super important. And the other thing about self-care is just having the right mindset. So if you understand that your joy is your job, it's not anyone else's job to make you happy or to find a way to make sure you're okay. That is your job. So if you proceed with that mindset, then you would do the things that you need to do to be able to put yourself in a healthy mental place. So just remember, your joy is your job, and happiness is a choice, and you choose happiness every day.
And being kind to yourself. You will make mistakes. You will not be doing some of the things you should be doing or you think you should be doing. Hey, life is filled up with mistakes. It is what we do with afterwards that makes a difference.
Absolutely.
So being kind to yourself.
I love that. And I like to tell people that I don't use the word mistakes anymore. When people ask me, like, about how to bounce back from a mistake, quote unquote, or correct a mistake, I often tell people that if you learn something from it, it wasn't a mistake. If you learn something from it, don't even refer to it as a mistake. Refer to it as you kind of wandered off of your path so that you could learn a lesson that you needed, and then you got back on your path.
Right.
Sometimes the most empowering moments of our lives, the most empowering experiences of our lives, I know that's true for me personally, like the most empowering moments of my life, the experiences that I draw my strength and my power from, come from those moments that we refer to as mistakes. Decisions that I made that I learned hard lessons from. I am an amalgamation of all of those lessons.
Right.
I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be here, sitting here with you, if it were not for those lessons. And when you look at it from that perspective, were they mistakes, or what do we call them? It makes me reluctant. I mean, I know we can't just make up another word in the English language, but it makes me reluctant to say, oh, that was a mistake. I don't like to say that. I like to say that was a painful experience that I had because of a poor decision that I made, or something. I try to find a way to reframe it so that people understand that I am grateful for it. Like I am literally grateful for the painful experience I had back whenever it happened, because the woman sitting here talking to you right now is a result of that. I wouldn't be her if that had not happened to me. And I believe with all of my heart that purpose, more often than not, purpose is born out of pain. I believe that it is in those moments that we often discover what we were brought earthside to do. Because sometimes the thing that you need to prompt you, the thing that becomes the catalyst for you to go out and give what God gave you to humanity is a painful experience.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the most influential people that we know in the world right now, from the Oprahs to the Obamas to the Tony Robbins to the Maya Angelos to the Iyanla Vanzants, all of these people are powerful beyond words because they went through excruciatingly painful experiences. Oprah was raped at the age of 14 and had a child. Most people don't even know this. Iyanla Vanzant came through an abusive relationship. Her husband almost killed her. He beat her to the point where she was literally near death. She was able to survive that, and she came out and she spends her whole life now empowering women. You know what I mean? Obama came from a broken home. Father left him. Didn't meet him till he was an adult. He became the first Black president of the United States. I'm just saying, you know, and is also, incidentally, the only scandal-free, scandal-free presidential family to have ever lived in the White House. You never heard anything about those two little girls. Not one time.
Or him.
Or even now.
He's amazing.
You don't hear, how did somebody who came from a home where he had been abandoned by his own father become that? You understand how pain becomes purpose? So that is my word to the women. You know what I mean? These experiences they're not meant to kill you. I know a lot of you listening to us right now are going through it. These experiences they're not meant to kill you. You will not die.
Right.
You will not die, sis. This is just training. You're just going through the fire a little bit so that you can be ready for whatever you were put here to do. Whatever, and maybe there might be some truth to the saying that the higher your calling, the hotter the fire that you have to go through. So that's a little bit of cognitive reframing for you.
Right.
You're going through it. Tell yourself, this is not going to kill me. This is preparation. This is preparation for whatever the next season in my life is going to require of me. I need to be ready. And apparently whatever I was called to do in the next season is big, because I'm really going through it right now. Preparation. God is steeling you, putting some steel in your back so that you can be ready to face whatever is coming next. And I literally do this myself. So I'm not telling you to do anything that I don't do. I literally do this in my own life when I'm going through it. God is putting steel in my back. That is why I need to go through this, because clearly I am about to lift something heavy in the next season of my life. So I need my back to be strengthened. You know, cognitive reframing. That's a little tip. Start doing that tonight. Yes. And my only other thing is, self-care is not the thing that you do occasionally when you have some free time. I know somebody somewhere made people think that is self-care. Occasionally when I have some free time, I'll go and get my nails done, or I'll go and get a massage, or I'll take a nap. Self-care is not an occasional thing. Self-care is a lifestyle. Self-care is a lifestyle. It's an everyday thing. Self-care is not about the spa. Self-care is whatever you do to bring yourself a little joy.
Yeah.
Eat the chocolate if it will make you feel good. Just don't do it every day, because then you're going to have another problem to stress about. The hips. You know what I mean? Or do like Agatha. You love that expensive coffee. I don't know if it's expensive.
It's not. It's the cheapest, but it's the best.
He likes it.
But, treat yourself. Sometimes self-care looks like saying no when somebody is asking you, you can you come and no, not today. That's self-care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I will not. I feel like I should do a live about learning to say no,
Oh, that was on my list. That was number 4 on my list of self-care things to do.
And you
Learn
know what?
to say no.
And you know what? No is a complete sentence.
That part.
Yeah.
That
No
part.
explanation needed.
That
Yep.
is self-care. Self-care is choosing when you see that phone call coming in and you know that person is calling to stress you out. Self-care is choosing to not answer the phone. That is self-care.
Exactly.
Self-care is not going to the spa alone. Self-care is a lifestyle. Self-care is knowing when to choose yourself.
Mm. Oh, I'm gonna write that down.
I feel like we need to come back
Yeah.
and do a part 2. We've been on here for an hour and 37 minutes and we're going to have to go. And we just got started. I don't understand what just happened. Where did the time go? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
What just happened?
What just happened? All right, let's wrap it up. Oh, I see Anita. Anita loves this. Pain becomes purpose. Yes, Anita. Go and tell everybody in your life that. We need to get the word out.
Yeah.
So that people will stop complaining so much and instead be grateful when they're going through some little tough times, because the tough times serve a purpose.
Yeah.
No experience is wasted, even the painful experiences.
That's right.
No experience in your life is wasted. There is no such thing as a wasted experience unless you choose to waste it and not learn something from it.
That's right.
So, Anita Barrett, tell everybody this week, that's your homework, Anita. Anybody that you meet, just tell them, hello, pain becomes purpose. That's it. That's your homework.
That's her takeaway.
That's your takeaway.
And the way I say it is like this, or I've heard it said, it wasn't for your breaking, it was for your making.
Yeah.
And so whatever that painful thing is to make you the person that you were created to be. That's exactly what you said, Therese. So
okay, let's give a parting shot. I'll give everybody an opportunity to give a parting shot. You see, Anita says she's going to do her homework. Thank you.
Hi, cousin Anita. That's my cousin, our cousin.
All right, let's wrap up. We're ladies who are watching us, queens. We have to go. We have to go, but we'll come back. I am making a promise on behalf of the other ladies. I'm not looking at them. I'm just making. I haven't actually asked them, but I'm making a promise on their behalf that we're coming back. Okay. All right. So I will give you all an opportunity to give a parting word to our watchers and listeners. Who would like to begin?
I could go.
All right, take it away, Paulette.
Hey, so I feel like today this session was a good time I think this was a self-care kind of session because it allowed us to do the sisterhood thing. It allowed us to share different kind of strategies. We also heard from the viewers. So I feel like, and I want to point this out because it's a reminder that self-care doesn't always have to be that big thing. It could be those little things. It could be listening to your music when you're going home from work or going to work in the morning or waking up and just deciding that you want to hear that song that you haven't heard in a while. All those little things make up what self-care is all about. And we need that, right? I also want to say thank you for having us. This has been wonderful. This has been refreshing. It's been refreshing. And I like the networking as well. And so I definitely wrote down Corinne's prices information, because that's something that we would look for. And growth is such a good part of self-care, and taking care of myself as well, learning and growing. So that's me.
I can go next. Thank you so much, Therese, for having us. I feel like we have forged a bond of sisterhood here. It's the beginning of what, hopefully, like you said, you didn't ask, and I haven't asked them yet either, but it could be something that we can do on a regular basis. And I think this was powerful. I can't even believe that it's been an hour and a half already. And it has been amazing. But I do want to put in a plug for Miss Therese. If you want to hear more of Miss Therese, I invite you all to be a part of our mental health discussion. She's so amazing. She makes it so much fun. I mean, it was awe inspiring. I've been so uplifted and encouraged through this time, and I do want to say thank you so much for having us on your platform. I'm looking forward to meeting some of the other people in your community as well. But yes, please, we will send her the link so that she can send that information to you all on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be on Zoom, on Facebook Live. We would love for you all that are listening now to be a part of that conversation. It will be a continuation, in a sense, of this conversation. So thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. You guys have been amazing as usual. Mental Health Advocates Dangriga, we are doing big things. So thank you. Thank you for having us.
I'll go next. I'm glad that we had this opportunity to talk about sisterhood, because I think there's just an energy that is created when we are engaging with each other in a meaningful way. And I think that we are unstoppable when we all, come together, bring our best to the table, and realize that we have something to offer, and so does the other woman. And so I'm just excited about how, when we come together, we can change the world. So thank you, Therese, for having us on. Appreciate it.
I think I want to drive home the pain purpose thing. Yes, Agatha is definitely my number one favorite pastor. I do have a second. Rick Warren of Saddleback Church. He wrote the Purpose Driven Life. Amazing book. My favorite quote from him is, "Your greatest pain will lead to your greatest ministry." He's used that in his church with some mental health situations, and he lives by it. So he's had a horrible, painful mental health experience, and in his ministry, obviously, just finds from it. So it's the truth. It's everyone is alluded to that, and it really is it's a great way to look towards your pain, that you really can use it to just benefit people. So thank you so much. It's been so fun.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right. This has been absolutely fantastic. We said we weren't going to go past the hour and a half mark. And here we are, people. Here we are. This is what happens on the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform. Time disappears when you come here. Now that you have had your first dose, be prepared. This is what happens here on this platform. I don't know. People... somehow time gets stolen when you come, when you log in here. But it has been an immense pleasure collaborating with you for this podcast. This was absolutely phenomenal, and we're going to do it again. We're definitely going to do it again. So, yes, absolutely. So, to all the people who are watching, some people are watching, some people are listening, wherever you're watching and wherever you're listening. And it's important to mention that this podcast is being recorded. So the people who are watching and listening live right now won't be the only people seeing this. This is being recorded. So people are going to be rewatching and rewatching this into posterity. So if you're watching live, or if you are watching this recording at some point in the future, thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the Always a Queen, the Metamorphosis platform. Once again, you can find the Always a Queen platform on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter. So whatever social media platform you happen to be on, I am there. I am there.
Announcing yourself.
I am there, empowering the women of the world, because that's what we do here.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. You're getting lots of thank yous in the chat section. Let me highlight some of them for you. Lots of thank yous in the chat section and lots of blessings. Thank you, ladies, for being here. This really was a pleasure. I would like to leave everyone who is watching and listening now and in the future. I leave you with love and light. And remember to be a beautiful week. Notice I didn't say have a beautiful week. I said be a beautiful week. And for anybody who is here on the platform for the first time, this is how I end all of my podcasts. Why do I say be a beautiful week? Because you decide if your week will be beautiful.
Yes.
Don't let the week happen to you, sis. You happen to the week.
All right,
okay? All right. So be a beautiful week. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.